Today we are going to look at mini hoops. Now, so far the smallest hoop I've done is like a 3 or 4 inch hoop. These are actually really mini. I've got a bunch off Amazon, I think it was. We've got some different shapes and sizes, circular obviously, but we've also got oval ones and some different size ones. And even these really tiny ones, which I'm not sure what these are designed for. I think maybe rings or earrings as well. I am going to do some brooches. I think it would be really nice for little stocking fillers. Dare I mention Christmas in August when I'm filming this. But for my mum, my sister and my niece, I'm thinking pretty flowers on a brooch. I've hooped up a large hoop with just some cotton. It's actually an old napkin. I've got quite a few of these that I use for embroidery that I just want to have a nice plain background. This mini frame comes in 3 pieces. Your design will go on this smaller piece, then slot into the frame, and then the larger piece goes on the back, covering up all the messy back of your embroidery, if you're anything like me. I think this is a good shape for a brooch. So I'm going to take the smaller piece and draw around it on my fabric. I'm going to draw around several different shapes and sizes and work on them all on the same hoop at the same time. I think this is the easiest way to do it rather than working in a small hoop. I've just drawn it round it in pencil because actually this pencil line won't show. Once it's put on the back, it'll be stretched over the edges, so you won't actually see that. I'm not going to draw any designs on the actual fabric. I'm just going to freestyle it. I think that's the easiest way to do it. So I'm going to get started on these mini hoops. On the back piece of your mini hoop, because we're making brooches, we're going to glue on a brooch back, which you can get online or usually in your local craft or hobby shop. Really simple, and I'm going to leave that to dry now. I finished doing all the small little designs. I kind of went off on a bit of a tangent, to be honest. I did this grasshopper, and I was going to do little flowery scenes, pretty little brooches for my sister, my mum and my niece for stocking fillers. But after I'd done this, I thought, oh, I really want to do loads of insects. I have no idea why, so these are probably for me, but I just fancied doing it, and you've got to go with what you fancy doing. So I've also got a little hairy caterpillar, a ladybird, a bug with kind of a shiny shell, a fly, and the spider. As I've freehanded all these, some of them are not quite central, so I'm going to cut them out, giving as wide a berth as possible. I'm then going to gently rub out the pencil line, and then when I put them in their actual frames, I'm going to try and centre them up as much as possible. So I did a bit of a practice, a bit of a dummy run with these hoops, making a woven brooch, which you can see on that video I've already put up. And what I did find is I didn't leave enough of a gap around the outside when I was cutting it out. So as you can see, I've left quite a big gap today. Now with the woven hoop, with my practice, I stitched around the outside and drew it together as I would a normal embroidery hoop when I was finishing it. Now I did find that that left the front quite loose, quite baggy. So what I've tried to do with these hoops is just to use glue. You could use a fabric glue, a craft glue. I'm just using this fabric glue. You could also probably use a super glue. It is not going to appear on the brooch because the back, it's going on the back here. It might seep through here, but the back is going to be covered, so that's okay. So let's have a little go with this one. I've just trimmed around the fabric a little bit to make it the right shape. I have hooped up the rest of the designs already, and what I've found is I am not very good at keeping things in the center. So when I pull over one side, I pull it right up by accident, and then they're in the wrong place in the hoop. So I think unfortunately this is just going to take practice. So we will see how this one goes. As I've decided they're all for me, it doesn't really matter. So we're going to cut towards the drawn line. You can still see it a bit there, even though it has faded as I've been working on it. Don't go all the way to it because we will be repositioning it a little bit as we go along. This is just to help make a nice smooth edge. Now this is where it gets messy, so I've got a cocktail stick which is going to help me spread the glue out a little bit, but I've not found a way yet of not becoming a right mess, so we'll see. Just trim any long strands. I'm going to start at one end. Okay, here we go. Oops. Started off with a massive splodge, not a good start. So I'm just going to spread that around a little bit. And just double check the other side. And then we're just going to hold it down until it's dried a little bit tacky, before we try putting the next bit down. And then we'll repeat as we go around. Try and keep checking. See, I have pulled it up a little bit. You can see his leg is now on the edge, so I do want to straighten that out. I'm going to do the bottom side next to try and straighten that out a little bit. Slipped a little bit, you can see the pencil edge. Don't worry too much, I'm going to rub that off. It is cleaner to do the running stitch along the edge and pulling it to a close. Though I did find I had to sort of glue that down as well, but I wasn't getting, you can see I'm just making a little bit of a dirty mess, and you don't want dirt on your nice brooch. So we're going to leave that to dry. The back is just about dry now. I'm rushing it a little bit. You can see he's turned out okay, reasonably central. Could do with just being a little bit more this way. You can just about see a little bit of the thread through, so my fabric is perhaps a little bit thin. You could put an extra layer of fabric on the back of the frame before gluing it down, a dark fabric, and then the line would just disappear into that. So we're going to put it together now. This guy goes into the hoop. And you can see that sort of really neatens up the edge anyway. Push it towards the front, but you do want it quite secure, so not too far forward that it might pop out. Turn over, and with your glue again, we're going to secure the back. Be careful not to get it around this area here, because this is where your screws go in. I'm making brooches, but you could make necklaces or other types of jewellery, or you could just leave it as a little tiny mini hoop and pop it on your wall. I'm going to position the back on the back, and this is just plenty of glue to hold it. Squeeze and just clean off any excess glue. Leave that to dry. If you've got a bulldog clip or some kind of clip, it could be quite useful to peg it shut. That way you'll get a nice secure bond. So that's going to go in there. I don't think we're going to have enough room for both the screws. So on some of them I've put one screw either side. This one looks a bit tight as it is. And they just work like proper little screws and bolts. Get it as tight as you can. I just use my fingers though, but I suppose you could use some jewellery pliers just to get it really quite tight. But you are gluing it in place as well. I have noted that some people, once the screws in, they then put a little dab of glue on top of there. I've not really worn them, so I don't know how robust they are yet, so we'll see. I'm not going to do it for now, but if I find when wearing them they do come apart, then a little bit of super glue across there should really help with that. And here are all the completed mini hoops. This has been such a fun little project. Really, they take hardly any time at all to stitch. They are a little bit fiddly to put together, but they are really fun and they look really cute. First we have a little sparkly beetle and a couch stitched the sparkly thread on. I think that really worked well. We have a little ladybird who is a little bit of stump work. You can see that it's raised there, and I've done a little separate video on this guy if you want to go and have a look. Then we did a caterpillar, and turkey work is one of my favourite stitches. It is very time consuming, but it's really effective. I think it looks really cute on this guy. Now I did realise that he was quite off centre once I'd finished, and I wasn't happy with that, so I've given him a little berry to eat, which is just a pom-pom. I think that's a really nice contrast in colours, so I think it works well, even though it was a happy accident, shall we say. This one I did a necklace, which I wasn't going to do. I was just going to do all brooches, but because of the spider coming down from his silk, I thought it sort of lended itself to a necklace coming down. I don't know if you can see, between his legs is some sparkly thread. So hopefully when I wear that, that will just catch the light. And I did some sparkle on this little fly as well to try and get the translucent wings. He's kind of cute, and he is just a tiny brooch. He actually might look a little bit like he's been hit with a fly swatter, but he's fine, don't worry about it. And then last, of course, we've got a grasshopper. So once I've worn these a little bit, we'll see how robust they are, and I'm going to make some more. So buy some mini hoops and give it a go.